Dejounte Murray is putting up historic numbers and no one is noticing, so let's change that. Today's NBA is known for being the guards league. Stars like Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Luka Doncic, John Morant have all been at the forefront of the Western Conference's premier point guards this season. But deep in the West, there is a young defensive prodigy in San Antonio who is putting up a historic season that no one seems to be talking about. When you look at Dejounte Murray, the first thing you may notice are his incredibly long arms. These help him especially on defense playing in passing lanes. Disrupting ball handlers. And overall being a nuisance for opposing teams. Murray averages 4.1 deflections per game and 2.1 steals per game. He leads the league in steals, by the way. This is over other pesky ball hawks like the Chris Pauls, Marcus Smarts, and Tyrese Halliburtons of the league. But while steals may be an indicator of defensive ability, being able to stay in front of your assignment is the best sign of whether a player is a good defender or not, because there are players who roam around, get steals, but are awful on-ball defenders. And that is what Murray does at an elite level. I repeat, elite level. Dejounte Murray has a wiry frame that allows him to stick with really good offensive players even while navigating through and around screens. He also has the strength to stifle offenses that try to outmuscle him. His quick feet allows him to recover in an instant if he's ever beat. As you can see, Caris LeVert catches Murray off balance with a quick step back, but the quick recovery and length of Murray makes this a contested shot for LeVert. On display too, you can see the dangerous combination of quick feet, long arms, and anticipation as Murray is once again able to recover and contest in one motion against Eric Bledsoe. We're here where Murray is low on the weak side for the Robinson-Thanasis pick and roll, where he has to run to the corner to close out and make multiple efforts to contest the Nora 3. What gives Spurs fans hope though is his defense accompanied with his offense, and the potential he can reach when he continues to play more and more. Murray has a superb mid-range game and he shoots around 44% from 10 to 14 feet away from the basket and about 38% from 15 to 19 feet. He has great elevation on his shot and uses that elevation along with his extremely long arms to create a high release point for his jumper. And he's comfortable shooting in any situation in the mid-range, whether it be turning or fading, off the dribble, or a simple pull-up. It's this type of accurate shooting from the mid-range that would make a player like Murray so important, especially come postseason when possessions slow down and the mid-range shots are used a lot more. Murray also has his little floater that he loves to go to when he is in close range of the basket. And what every scoring guard absolutely needs to have in his arsenal is a good floater game. Just ask a player by the name of Tony Parker. Murray has also improved his playmaking abilities this season, averaging just under 9 assists per game, his highest mark of his career. He has shown the skill to make the pocket pass to rolling bigs, as well as passing to spots rather than players. Passing in tight windows. He even has showed signs of the ability to manipulate defenders into creating passing angles. Murray is becoming more and more confident with the ball in his hands to make passes like this. But of course, what good is a player if he can't perform against the best of the best the league has to offer? So, let's see how Dejounte performs against the league's premier talent. In the one game he matched up against Stephen Curry this season, Curry dropped 27 points, but this was on 25% shooting and 29% from deep. And that's all you can ask for when game planning for Steph Curry. Make every shot difficult. Throughout this game, whenever Murray was matched onto Curry, the Warriors would constantly set screens to get him off of Curry, which is one of the biggest compliments any offense can give a defender. On this play, Murray switches onto Steph as he comes off a screen from Looney. You can see Murray's ability to slither through screens here as he does a sidestep around Looney to still get a solid contest on Curry. Of course, this is a makeable shot for Steph, but the effort and length for Murray has just allowed him to somehow still get a hand up in Curry's space. Later in the game, Dejounte Murray does a great job of cutting off Curry's drive to the basket, and while Curry does counter with the separating step back, which falls, Murray still does a great job of recovering and contesting. Against Paul George, slightly trailing off a screen, Dejounte Murray does a great job of both funneling PG to Eubanks as well as blocking the passing lanes for a drop-off to Zubac. And it's these types of multi-layered efforts on defense, even when beat, which makes Murray so important to this team. Murray also does a great job of absorbing the first bump from PG and getting a great contest when he turns around for a fade that usually is automatic. Lastly, against Jaylen Brown, a transition nightmare, Murray does a great job of playing both the pass and drive as he positions himself between Smart and Brown, making Jaylen attempt an awkward layup. And later in the fourth quarter, when the game is on the line, Dejounte Murray stops Brown's drive into the paint while also managing not to foul in the process. With all of the defensive prowess that Murray possesses, there are times where his aggression can be a detriment to his team. Take this for example. Chris Middleton kicks out a pass to Murray's man George Hill on the perimeter. While he does close out, Murray reaches in for a steal, leaving him off balance for a George Hill drive to the paint. A solid rotation from Johnson helps deter his shot, but still Murray's aggression doesn't work in his favor. Or take this play where Murray closes out on Alec Burks. He makes his hop to close the space and tries to slide with Burks, but he is off balance, leading Alec drawing the foul on him. Maybe if it were a farther closeout for Murray, the hop to close space would be a better move, but since his matchup was so close to him, it didn't work in his favor. Also, even though he has a good mid-range game, Dejounte Murray isn't the best three-point shooter. He isn't horrible by any means, and he has made steady improvement in his deep-range game over his short time in the league. He ranks as the 109th best in three-point field goal percentage this season on about 4 attempts per game. Unlocking this part of his game will no doubt improve the Spurs' offense and open up the court for him. As you can see, teams are willing to go under screens on Murray simply because they are fine with him taking threes. You can't take everything away from really good guys. Murray shoots a solid 35% on catch and shoot threes, but his percentages fall to 30% when shooting off the dribble. When we think of elite guards, they mostly all possess the ability to hurt teams from beyond the arc. And with the way his percentages have been steadily rising since his rookie season, he may very well be on his way. But a lot of Murray's offensive struggles surprisingly comes at the free throw line. This season, he ranks 60th in guards and free throw percentage. Murray doesn't necessarily struggle with shooting, so a low 70% from the line is very off-putting for a player of his caliber. In fact, the last 2 seasons had him shooting closer to the 80% range rather than the 60% range. Maybe this year in the low year for him at the line, but it is important to note that Murray has never shot over 80% at the line in his career. Can he improve on his free throws, or will this always be his weakness? And the same question can be asked for a guy like De'Aaron Fox. All in all, Dejounte Murray is the Spurs' future. The franchise that hosted previous great guards like Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. The Spurs have found yet another gem. In fact, nobody should be surprised if he's in the All-Star conversation this season. As for his team, they are currently on the outside of the play-in game, looking in, which is no doubt the cause of how little attention his season is getting so far. But one has to wonder, with the jump he's made from last season to this season, where can he go? And where will he take the Spurs next?